Good morning everybody, welcome to Team Engineering and our NX Advanced Assemblies webinar. My name is Steve Knight. We'll go and have a look at some of the Advanced Assemblies tools that you get with an Advanced Assemblies license. Okay. There are a few more that we've got here, such as component grouping, product outlines and representations, and also wrap assembly, but the main three we are going to be looking at today are clearance analysis, which is where we can do some interference checking, some clash detection, and just make sure all our components within an assembly aren't going to interfere with each other and cause any problems. We'll also be having a look at advanced weight management. There's some nice tools in here where we can go and get a real quick and easy look at what the total mass of one of our assemblies are. Okay, really important for mass critical, weight critical assemblies in here. And we'll also have a look at one that's called linked exterior. Okay, so what this will do, it will let you go and grab all the exterior faces of a assembly and won't include any internal detail parts in there at all. Okay, this could be really useful if you actually want to go and share maybe what a product looks like with a customer, but you don't want to go and show them all the internal workings and details in there. Okay. So the Advanced Assemblies license is included with the following bundles. You can have it with a Mach 3 product design, Mach 3 industrial design license, and also the Mach 3 progressive die design. Okay. If you don't have any of those licenses, you can also purchase it as a sticky add-on license. And this will work providing you have a Mach design bundle, a Mach 1 bundle, whether it's floating or node locked, or a Mach 2 design bundle as well. If you need any more details on these, you can speak to your account manager. So we're going to kick this one off and we'll go and have a look at some clearance analysis. Okay, so here we are. We're going to go and have a look at our first clearance analysis on this one. Just to kind of show you what we've got this mitre saw on here. So looking at what I've got my top level assembly here. I've got 3 sub-assemblies underneath here. Okay, what I've also got, if I just go and expand all components here, you'll see that I've all my individual parts in here as well. Okay, so quite familiar with this one, just a mitre saw that we're going to go and have a look at. So when we go and have a look at my clearance analysis, the tools we're going to look at are all on my assemblies tab here on my ribbon. Okay, and I do have this clearance analysis drop down here, and I've got a few tools on here. So the first thing we're going to do in here to begin with is actually go and create what we call a clearance set. So all a clearance set is just letting you choose what you want to go and select, which components you want to pick, and just a whole bunch of settings that you want to go and actually set up and what you want to go and have a look at for your first clearance analysis in here. If I go in here and choose new set, I'm just going to reset my dialog box here. Okay, it will come up with just a default name in here to start with, so you can leave it as this one here. You might want to go and change it as something else. You can, if you want to. If you don't have an assembly structure, which I do here, if I basically imported maybe some parts from anywhere else, maybe from another package, it may have brought them in rather than an assembly structure. It may have flattened the assembly, so all you're left with in here essentially are just a collection of bodies. You can also do a clearance analysis on bodies here as well as components. We've got an assembly structure, so I'm going to work on these here. Okay, so what we can also do is choose which objects we want to go and analyze as well. Okay, so I could go and choose maybe this blade here and choose to go and see how close that one is to one of the covers around here as well. What we're going to do, just to get a real quick and easy result to start with, is to basically just have one collection, and we are going to check every component against every other component within the entire assembly that I've got here. Okay, and the way this is set up, we'll just have one collection, and in collection 1 is going to be all objects, everything within my assembly here. People do refer to this as a round robin assembly, so I might as well just go and name this one a round robin clearance check. So we could go and call this kind of a round robin clearance set in here. So I might as well name it for what we're going to call this one as well, because you can do multiple ones. You don't just have to have one in here. You can do multiple clearance analysis in here. I'll come back to exceptions and clearance zones a bit later. What we can also do on here is actually go and have a look at settings on there as well. So there are a few bits in here we can go and have a look at. This calculate using, we've got a few options here. If you've got big heavy duty assemblies in here, lots of components, if you want to get a real quicker run at it, we can use lightweight representations. It will give you some approximate values. If you've got exact data loaded, it will use that. You can choose exact data, so it will basically make sure everything has been loaded fully in here, and then it will go and calculate it. These are just kind of geared up to kind of let you speed things up when you're doing it. It's not really going to make much difference on mine because it's not a very big assembly. So I'll just leave this one with exactive loaded. What we can also do as well, just going to use this drop down menu here, we can also go and ask it to go and actually create myself just a solid body in here where you're getting two components that interfere with each other. So where you're getting a proper clash between two bits, two intersecting parts, we can get it to go and save that geometry between the two bits here. So switching this one on, I can choose which layer to put it on. So I might go and put this on layer 5. My interference colour here as well, I can go and change what this is. So if I go and choose this interference colour here, I could go and choose yellow and go and put this one in here. Look. This option here for calculate the penetration depth, what that will do, it will go and give me an approximate value about how much I'm actually getting this interference between a couple of parts as well. So we'll put that on and show what that does. We've also got another option here. If we've got a tick in this perform analysis box, as soon as I go and click OK, it will go and run my clearance analysis for me. Okay, you don't have to do that. If I have this unticked, I can just go and set up what I want and go and run this one separately afterwards. So you might want to go and set a few of these up and run them at a later point. So you can set these up, use them later. I'll leave this one turned off actually, and we'll just go and click OK. So we've set everything up for this one. What it then brings up, it brings up this clearance browser. So this clearance browser that's now appeared is up here, and we can turn this one off if we want to. We can go and put this one back on just so we can see what's in here. And what it's actually showing me in my clearance browser, it's telling me which clearance set I'm currently working on, my active one, so it's the round robin one. Okay, if I just expand here where I've got collection 1, so it's basically going to look at the assembly, it's looking at all the components within the assembly, just to show you all the bits that I've got for my assembly here. You can see what we've got in these collections. What we can also do as well, just to go and have a look, this version here is telling me it's on version 0. Okay, the reason it's on version 0 is because we haven't run this clearance analysis yet, and I know it's not been run because it's also telling me over here that this one's out of date. Okay, what I can then do is go and run this clearance analysis. So I've got a couple of options here. If I use this drop down menu here, I can go and choose perform analysis. I can also get most of these commands if I use my right mouse button on my clearance set at the top here. Okay, so I'm going to perform this analysis now, and pretty quickly it will come back with some results for us. Okay, so just to explain a few more bits with the clearance browser, what I've got in here, it's basically showing me the component here, which is selected. So I've got this cover plate, and this cover plate is interfering with this housing. Okay, this handle here is interfering with this handle bracket here as well. Okay, so it's showing you the two ones. Essentially, it calls these pairs, these two pairs which are interfering with each other. We can go and have a look at these in more detail in a second. What it's also telling me in this next column here, it's basically showing me where I've got a new interference. So a new interference is one it's found for the first time. They're all new because it's the first time I've run this clearance analysis. What I'm really interested in here though is where I'm actually getting these hard interferences between any of these components. What a hard interference is when you're getting two components which are physically intersecting with each other. You're getting proper interference between two bits. Okay, you've also got touching interferences in here. Okay, with a touching interference, what these are, they can be taken from things like assembly constraints if you've got two faces which are actually touching with each other. Okay, because I asked it for a clearance penetration depth in there as well, it's actually telling me what the distance is between these parts as well. Okay, so if you want to go and isolate any of these and just look at them on their own, I can just go and put a tick in this box here, and it will go and isolate these two components here for me. Okay, just to kind of show you what we've got. And wherever you're kind of getting this kind of purple lines in here, it will show you where you are getting these interferences between these things here. Look, this is actually showing me what the actual penetration depth is. It's about 4.5 mil across these two parts here. Okay, so kind of looking down in this direction, you can see that it's given us that kind of clearance in here. What we can also do in here as well, if I right click on the one I'm looking at, I can just go and right click and choose to flip the shading in here as well. So you can switch these backwards and forwards. Okay, and what you're kind of getting in here, wherever you're kind of seeing the purple stuff in here, this is where you're getting your interference for these. Okay, I can go back and choose, flip the shading and bring it back again as well. Okay, so if I switch this one off, you can see what we've got for this one here. I might go and have a look at another one here, look. Okay, so just seeing what we've got in here, you can see that the actual interference is going right through this bracket here, where this handle is coming through this bracket. If I just go and switch the shading on this one, just to give you an idea about what's actually interfering with this thing. If if I just go and hover over this here, you'll see that we've actually got for the bracket, you can see the hole in here is a lot smaller than the actual shaft on the handle that's coming through here. Look. So it's kind of giving us a good visual idea about where we've got some issues in here. Okay, go and turn this one off. We can go and basically bring it back to my top level assembly in here again, so we can see all the individual bits. So I did mention as well, we can go and get some interference bodies. So if I just flip over to where my part navigator is, it will show me where I've got this interference geometry between these things in here as well. Okay, I've moved all these to layer 5. So if I want to see these, I'm just going to go to my view ribbon, just going to go and switch layer 5 on. Okay, so we can now see these. If I just whip back to my assembly navigator here, if I just go and turn off my assembly, okay, just going to go and show what we've got in here as well. You'll see now that we do have these bodies here, which are representations of where we've actually got the intersecting bodies between each other. Okay, just going to go and put this one back on and actually switch off the sub-assembly. Just easy to see a few bits as well. So what we've actually got in here, you'll see that where we've actually got, let's just come down to this one down here, this interference body, that's essentially the volume there where the handle intersects with the bracket. Wherever you're getting these points as well, these are essentially wherever you've got any of these touching constraints. So it will give you these interference bodies between the two. Okay, just going to go and pop this one back on so we can see all the parts in here. You can go and edit your clearance sets as well. So I can either right click in here and choose edit clearance set. So bringing this one up, I can choose if I don't want to go and select individual bits. In fact, just to kind of show you a couple of bits, this part here, I've actually got these two components here which do exist within one sub-assembly. So we've got some exceptions and things we can put in here as well. Again, I've got another one here, which is these two components, the lower arm and the upper arm, which are intersecting between these two bits in here. Okay, so I can, if I want to, go back and edit my clearance set. I can go and choose some exceptions in here as well. So if I go and switch here and say, go and exclude pairs within the same sub-assembly, wherever you're getting two components intersecting with each other that exist in the same sub-assembly, it will ignore these. And this might be a case that you've already run a clearance analysis on this little sub-assembly on its own to begin with. So you might be looking at kind of top level to see where your assembly levels will go in here. Look. So it'll basically ignore the individual components that are within the same sub-assembly. If I go and do this perform analysis, if I switch this one on here now, you'll see as soon as I kick this one off, it will go from version 1 to version 2. So it runs it when we go and do it. Look. So it looks like the majority of those interferences were all done within their own sub-assembly. Okay, if I go and have a look at this one here, I can see that the lower arm here is in a separate sub-assembly to the actual table. So that's in the base sub-assembly. The arm is in this arm assembly here. Look. You can also go and edit your clearance set, and we can also choose to edit pairs within selected sub-assemblies. So you may want to go and discount any pairs that you encounter within this one here, but you might still want to go and have a look at the ones that appear in this one and the ones that appear in this sub-assembly as well. Okay, so therefore it will give us these here, look, and it will go and put these down for the individual sub-assemblies here and the individual components where you're getting these things in. Okay. You can, if you want to as well, if I just go and edit my clearance set again, just going to come back in here, I could choose to go and specify any pairs that I want to exclude. Okay, so I might want to go and choose that I want to go and exclude maybe the upper arm here, and maybe this lower arm here as well. And I could say it's going to be lower arm to upper arm. So I can go and put a name in here. Okay, what I will do, the way these work, when you've actually chosen the two objects you want and you're going to include these two, I could then go and say to go and add these pairs in here. Okay, so we've got some options in here as well that we can use. So what we could also do, we might actually choose to exclude pairs within this particular sub-assembly here. But I might be interested in just a couple of these. So I might actually say, go and specify a pair to include here. Look. So I might go and include this component, which could be cover plate to cover guard. Okay, and I'm not going to exclude these are including here, so I could go and add that set as well. So I'm going to exclude everything out of here apart from just a couple of bits. So you've got loads of options to kind of filter and have a look at what you want to do in here. Okay, I've got perform analysis on again. If I leave it turned off, actually, if I go and choose OK, you'll see that this is all out of date again. I could just right click and just choose to perform the analysis here. So it will go and give me these options here. Okay, just to kind of show you what you've got between these two bits. So you've got loads of different bits that you can go and have a look at to go and do a real quick and easy clearance analysis. Okay, that's it for this one. We'll go and have a look at some default clearance zones and also some specific clearance zones in the next one. Okay, so we're going to go and have a look at a little bit more clearance analysis with this one. And we're going to go and have a look at clearance zones. So same as before, when we're going to start this one off, we're going to go and create ourselves a new set in here. Okay, and what we're really interested in looking at this time, just really what we've got in here for these clearance zones. We're only going to look at a default clearance zone. So what the default will do, we can put a value in here and it will go and look at all the components in relation to other components in here and just give us some idea about the proximity of certain things in relation to other ones. We can look at these violations as well when they come in. So I could go and create myself a new clearance set here. So I could go and call this my default clearance. And just so we get quite a few to go and have a look at, we'll go and put something big in here of maybe 50 millimeters. Okay, and we're just going to specify what my default clearance zone is, 50 millimeters here. Again, we can go and change any of the other settings we want down here as well. So we're just looking at 50 mil. It's going to be everything against everything else again. And if we go in here, we'll leave perform analysis on so we can run it all to start with. We'll get these options that pop up here. And what I'm really interested in this time with this one, we've kind of seen previously where we got these hard interferences. So we were aware of these with the previous one that ran the previous set. Because we've got a brand new set here now, it's not the round robin anymore. Look, we've got our new name. We can also go and have a look as well as at hard interferences and also some touching ones. You'll see we get something new appearing here now. So these are where we've actually got a soft interference now between a couple of bits. Okay, so with these ones here, we can go and have a look at individual parts. Look, and if I go and click in here, it will go and show me, and it will give me an idea about how close these are. So this is telling me this one here is just under 28 millimeters. Look, and the reason it's a soft one is classified as something that isn't actually physically clashing with something else, but is less than or equal to what your default clearance zone is in here. Okay, and we can go and have a look as well with some of these ones in here. We can go and do a few bits in here as well, where we can go in here and do things like go and study these clearance violations. So we can go and choose the display type in here to be lines or points, quite like the lines one on here. If we just kind of zoom in on this part again, as we start to go and drag my upper limit, so this will go from 0 up to 50 because those were my limits there. We'll kind of see here, this is kind of the minimum we've got in here. If we start to get a little bit further past here, so we're up at about 32 millimeters here, look, you'll start to see the kind of extent and the range about where these are going to kind of come through on here. So you can go and use these study violations on these ones as well. And they will be available for all the different bits you kind of pick up in here, look. Again, this one's about 27.5 millimeters. Just coming back to the top, go and study these clearance violations. Bring these in. Again, changing this slider will show you the distances between the two. You can change this to points as well. And it's just basically showing you a point where those two lines would touch either side. So there are some options in there we can use these for. Okay, just going to come out of this one here. We do have some other options in here to go and do some bits. And what we can do for these, we can go and create some reports out of here as well. So with the reporting, what we can do, if I go and just come to the top here, what we can do is go in here and we can go and choose to go and create a summary of this one if we want to. So what this will do, it'll just bring the information window up. It will tell you how many objects you've got, how many pairs and how many it's checked as well, anything that's been excluded, number of interferences. So you can get this in the information window, but we can also go in here and go and create myself just a report as well. Okay, so it will give you all that information that's in your clearance browser in a report. Again, it's just the info window that you get within NX. You can also, if you want to, go and export these to a browser. Okay, so I'm just going to pop this one across. And you'll see within this one here, it's basically given us this lot in an HTML format. So you can see all the different ones that we've got in here that we can go and have a look at as well. Okay, other options you've got as well, we can also go and export these out to a spreadsheet. So I'll just wait for a couple of minutes. This will just kind of whiz around. It will go and open up Excel for me, and it will go and put all these values through onto a spreadsheet for me. So again, you've got some options in here with how you want to go and report all the bits you've got. Let's just go and resize this lot here. So again, it's giving you all the options there as well, what you want. Okay, drop out of this one. It'll take me back into Excel here. So that's pretty much most of the bits done now with relation to clearance analysis. You can go and change which clearance set you want in here again. If I just right click on here, look, you'll see I've actually got the two different ones I can switch between. It's telling me again this one's out of date, so some bits may have changed. I can go in here as well and go and choose to delete any that I've got in here, so you can choose which ones you want to remove. So you can keep these in or remove them if you want to. Okay, I'll leave both of these here in a minute. So that's pretty much most of the stuff done with clearance analysis. Okay, so now we're just going to have a look at some of the advanced weight management tools that we have within NX. Now, there are some basic features here that you do not need an advanced assemblies license to use to get access to these ones. And there's a couple of settings in here also that we can kind of set up. So I'll have a quick run through these to start with. Just what we've got in here, we've just got a little assembly here. Very simple, just got this little radial engine. We've got a few components in here just to kind of build this thing up. And all I'm going to do to start with is go and add myself an extra few columns in my assembly navigator that can kind of help me with these bits here. And these are going to be a couple of columns. I'm just right clicking on any of these headers up here just to go to my assembly navigator options, go into columns down here, and I'm going to go and switch one on here which is called weight status. Okay, I'm also going to go and switch one on which is called just going to have weight in kilos as well. What I might also put on here is one that actually shows me if any of these parts have got any material added to them. So what I can also do, if I don't have a default one in here for material at the moment, if I go down to configure, if I just go and start to type in material here, it will recognize this as an attribute from NX and go and add this one in here for me. Now it's right at the bottom of the list at the moment, so I'm just going to move this one up. So it's just before where my weight status is. Okay. So we can see now I've got materials assigned to all these parts. This weight status in here with a question mark in, it's telling me that I've got an unreliable value. Okay, so I did mention that we'll kind of have a look if we don't have an advanced assemblies license. So there are some tools that you can use in here without this license. There's a lot more stuff that you can do if you do have the advanced assemblies license, which we'll come on to a little bit later. So if I just right click on any of my components here, I will have an option to go and have a look at the properties. Okay. And in my component properties, I'll have a tab here which basically says what my mass is, and it's telling me there's no weight data in here at the moment. We can go through and switch this on for all of my individual components here and say update this data on save. In fact, if you don't have an advanced assemblies license, it will tell you in here, this will all be grayed out, and it will say that you don't have an advanced assemblies license available. If that's the case, you can go to customer defaults and we'll go and change this one. Okay, so I'll show you what you can do if you don't have this one. What we can also do here is go in here and go to customer defaults. So if I go to utilities here, customer defaults. So on my analysis tab, underneath here in weight management, I can ask it to go and choose to generate weight data for me. And I'm also going to say, rather than do not override, go and choose always generate. Okay, and if you're not sure what these things are going to do, it will give you an option here. Look, just have a read and tell you what it says in here. Look. Okay. And as with all customer defaults, any changes here, you are going to have to go and restart NX prior to getting these to take effect. So I'm just going to drop out of this assembly here, out of my next session. Okay, so we'll just fire NX up again. We'll just give this a few seconds to load up. I'm going to open up my assembly again here. Okay, so we just basically switched on that customer default to generate weight data on save. Okay, and what we've also got in here, we've got our columns configured to show us what we've got in here as well. Okay, so this is all just using standard stuff that you don't need an advanced assemblies license for. If I go and save this component here, or this assembly, see nothing's updated, but if I actually go in now and make one of these components my work part, just go and save this one, you'll see it will go and update the weight in here. So you will have to go and do these individually, but you will see it will go and bring through some weight data for you in here. Look. So now we've got an assembly here and we've gone and pulled through all this weight data. So that's what you can do without an advanced assemblies license. The next thing we'll go and have a look at is what we can do if we do have an advanced assemblies license, because there are some additional tools in there. So for this, I'm going to open up another assembly. So here's this drill assembly I'm just going to open here, and we'll go and have a look at some of the advanced weight management tools we've got in here with an advanced assemblies license. Okay, so just go and have a look in here. If I just go and expand this so I can see all components, you'll see there's no materials assigned to any of these yet. Okay, it will go and add weight to these ones, because what you may or may not know is that every single one of these components in here, when they've actually been modelled, if I go into one of these components and have a look, they will have a default density assigned to them. So if I go to this edit menu here, go down to feature, they will have this default density. Okay. So what I can do if I've got the advanced weight management tools, all of these sit on this analysis ribbon up here, just on this tab. Over on this right hand side, and we do have these advanced mass properties, and we have our advanced weight management. So these are the tools here that you can use if you've got a Mach 3 license or you've got an advanced assemblies license. Okay, so what we're going to do in here is go and have a look and see what we can do for different bits. Okay, so we can go in here and choose individual components we want to go and add some weight to. Okay, what we can also do, we can go and do a calculation just on the work part. So if I go and do this on this work part, bearing in mind at the moment I've only got this motor as my work part, you see it's automatically gone and updated what I've got in here. Your information window will pop up in a lot of these instances as well. So we'll go and tell you what the accuracy used here is. It will tell you any warnings down at the bottom which have been generated by this weight calculation. And you can get warnings that can appear in here. So for example, if I've got a component here, which I just go and close one of these parts, let's just go and close a couple of these ones actually. And I'm now going to make my drill, the top level. I can also go through and choose to go and create a calculation based on this work part now. So because my top level is the work part, if I go and do this now, it will go through and it will go and tell me down here, look, in the warnings that are generated, that the snap ring in this transmission haven't had any weight data assigned to them because they're not open. Okay, so moving down, it will show you've got an unreliable value in here for these. Look. So there's nothing in there at all. Okay, if I do go and open these ones, could go and choose to calculate on the work part again, and it will give me another one in here as well. This one hasn't got the solids loaded either, which is this label part. Okay, so you might end up with some components in here which won't actually have any weight assigned to them. Okay, and this has given me an unreliable source in here. The reason for that is because this component down here, where I've actually got my label, it's actually showing me that this has got an unreliable value. Okay, so you may not have an actual weight for this label here, but what you can do with some of these individual components in here, and these are really useful if you're going to do this on things like proprietary components, components that you've bought in. So essentially you've modeled them up. The way it will generate the weight really is to actually, as I previously mentioned in here on this edit menu, is going to feature solid density. If you've done this previously, you may have actually gone in and kind of messed around with this solid density value in here to kind of tweak this. Bit of trial and error really to kind of get you the right mass that's working out in here. But what you can do if you do have some of these components in here which don't actually have the proper mass in here, with your advanced weight management tools in here, okay, again just coming in here, we can go and use advanced mass properties, advanced weight management. I've just added it onto my left border bar here just as a tool. I can go and say for individual parts in here, if I want to, I can go and assert a value. Okay, so I could go and choose to assert a value for an individual part in here. Okay, so I could go in and say, let's go and choose this label in here. Click OK. And I could go and decide that I just want to go and assign a mass to it, or I could do a density and mass, or a density and volume, or a mass and volume. Okay, so if this thing's about, I don't know, 5 grams, we can just go in and put a value in here. Okay. And it's basically asserting now, and it's overriding any other bits they've got in here. Look. And what you will see in there, Rather than having a tick here to show that the weight's okay, it will go and show you that this has got an asserted weight in here. Okay. So it's now telling me that everything's up to date. So I've got a total weight for my assembly in here using these advanced weight management tools in here. Okay. So there's some of the features and advantages that you can get from having an advanced assemblies license. That pretty much ties up most of the thing we'll look at with advanced weight management. So what we're now going to look at is something called linked exterior. Okay. So the linked exterior feature is on my assemblies tab. Over here on more, I've got a linked exterior one here. And what linked exterior will do, it'll basically go and extract all the outside faces of my whole assembly here, and it will basically go and ignore all the internal components in here. So you're not going to get any internal detail in here at all. So this is really useful if you want to go and share this drill assembly with someone, but you don't want them to see all the internal workings, all these bits in here, just kind of the outside kind of aesthetic look to what we've got in here. So you can see in here, we've got all the individual components in here about how this thing's built up. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to go and unclick my section. So I'm just back at the start within this one. And what I can do with linked exterior here, I've got a few options. It is an older dialog box, so just keep an eye on your queue line down here so you know what you're picking. So basically it's saying which of the bodies you want to go and extract some faces from. So I could hit Control A or just drag a rectangle around this one just to go and select everything. Control A will just do a select all. We've got select all on here as well, we can pick. And then we can go and choose the exterior faces we want to take from this one here. So switching this one on, what it will do, it will give me some different options here about how we're going to go and get my linked exterior created. So what I could do, I could use this, there's a hidden line method. There's also a raise method as well, which uses kind of the same way that the rendering works. Okay, so what it will do, it will go and fire a load of rays at your assembly here, and when it hits the surface, it will bounce back and say, right, I've got something here. I'm going to go and drag that one through, and I'm going to go and extract that face. And I'm going to go and have a look to do this along face normals. Okay. So I could then go in and choose to select exterior faces here. So it should go through, grab all the faces I've got in here. There we go. And if I go and click OK on this one, and then just whip over to where I've got my linked exterior, my part navigator, I'll have linked exterior as a feature on here. Show me the one I've got. Okay. So what I could do, if I just go and do show and hide in here, if I go and choose to show, hide all my solid bodies in here, essentially all I've got left in there now is just my linked exterior. So if I just go and click my work section again here, look, you'll see all it's given me in there now is just a completely empty shell in here. Okay. The thing with the method I've done here, because essentially I've got my assembly still here and I've got my linked exterior all in the same part, probably the best way to kind of work with this one, it kind of just shows the functionality here, is what we could do. We could choose to go and create myself a new parent in here to start with, which I could call this my linked exterior, my drill here. Okay, so now that's gone and created me my linked exterior of my drill, and I could use exactly the same feature in there again. Linked exterior. Okay, we'll go and choose our candidate bodies here, so we can go and pick all of these here. I'm going to go and pick my exterior faces. Again, I'm going to choose raise. I'm going to go along face normal. I'm going to go and choose to select exterior faces. You'll go and grab all the ones I want in here. Go and click OK in here. What I ended up with now, in a totally separate part, is my linked exterior, and I can just go in here now and choose to go and delete that assembly out from here. Okay, so I don't look my linked exterior. This is actually a broken link in here now, but all you've got left in this component here now, this assembly level, is just this linked exterior. Again, if I just go and do cut through in here, you see all you're left with are just these bits here. So that pretty much concludes just 3 of the tools that you get when you have an advanced assemblies license. Okay, so we looked at clearance analysis, some advanced weight management, and also linked exterior. Okay, so that pretty much ties everything we're going to look at for this webinar. Hang around if you've got any questions, then we'll deal with these ones afterwards. Thanks very much for your time.